Wow, that intro in your face just kind of made it. Wow.
Man, spooky.
That was a way to start a show. Welcome back to Operation Magic. As you can tell, tonight is a very special episode. It is our Halloween episode. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween, happy Halloween, happy
Happy
spooky time.
Spooky time, guys. Guys, if you're out today, I don't know where you're at when this drops at midnight. Hell, you could be doing whatever the hell you want to be doing. Who knows? You could be starting trick-or-treating wherever you want at that time. Who knows? People might not open their doors, but it's going to happen. But that's tonight. Everybody, enjoy your trick-or-treating. Enjoy your kids. If you're one of those adults that doesn't have kids and you hand out candy, make sure you hand out the big candy bars. That'd be my argument. What about you, Josh?
My internet just took a huge spooky dump on me, bro.
That's the aura of tonight. It knows what is happening.
What? Dude just kicked me off my internet for like 5 seconds.
Wow. So
Holy
what I was saying is if you're a trick-or-treater, it's Halloween and you have kids, go do that with your family. Yeah. But if you're at home and you have nothing else better to do, throw us on. But be the house with the big candy bars. Buy the king-size candy bars or go buy the full-size candy bars. That's what we do at our house. We take our kids out. We come back. We do the full-size candy bars. Us and our neighbor, we have a fire. We do the whole thing. So one year he had his
legit.
It is. One year he had his big fog machine out and he smoked out our whole street. It was crazy. It was a good time. So, yes, no matter where you're at, I hope you guys are enjoying the day. I know this evening when my kids get home from school, because they're going to be doing the school thing, they'll be home costume up, and we're going to go do our thing with some friends on a Friday night. So, what do you got planned tonight, Josh? Got anything special?
Just this episode. And then, weather's getting cooler here in Myrtle Beach, so that's always sets the mood, man. Yeah, 100%. Well, so
you got your daughter. Do you guys take her out trick-or-treating?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's 2 now, 2.5 almost. So she'll be running around collecting hopefully full-size candy bars.
Dude, that'd be awesome. Hey.
When it's her time.
Yeah, I love it. My boys are now able to run around with their friends, so I'm just that parent, sipping a hot cocoa or a hot toddy or something crazy. So housekeeping, we have a lot. Our episodes are kicking off. We're coming off. Yeah, we're just coming off of now. We're coming off of an Instagram ban.
Oh yeah, at this point.
Yeah. We're coming off.
Like it's been forever.
They kicked us off for 7 days. It happened September 30th to the 7th, and I don't get too political, but I felt like Jimmy Kimmel for a second, getting pulled off the air, getting pulled off Instagram. Yank, you guys are acting like bots. But the funny thing is, I think what ended up happening. So initially we had like a 24 to 72 hour ban, and Josh and I, trying to be the geniuses that we both are, like, let's log out, change the password, and do all the tricks that we know for other things. Well, that didn't happen. We got banned for 4 additional days. They got us. They thought we were a secondary app or third party app, whatever the hell they want to say. And they got us for bot-like activities. Do I look like a bot? Do you look like a bot?
Not really. I think I look more like a bot than you.
You look like Stromboli, not a bot. However, I digress. So yeah, we're coming off that ban. So guys, help us get unshadow banned if we're still there and you're not seeing our content. If you follow us, help us get unshadow banned, because
please,
without you guys, we're not going to get seen, and then our posts ain't going to get blown up, and the pandering of us wanting sponsors will only continue. Speaking of sponsors, we got a couple we got to get to before we get to our guests. Josh, you want to talk about some sponsors?
Yeah, we have a lovely travel agent that we work with, Kim Dunn over at Magic Done Right, and if you're looking to book a trip, Disney, Universal, cruises, anywhere really, hit her up. Let her help you out.
We also have the Skullface Project. They partnered with us over at our Operation Magic merch store, operation.printful.me. You get all our wonderful good stickers, t-shirts that Josh and I have both designed. Also, we have our collaboration, like I said, with our good friend Matthew O'Brien over at the Skullface Project. We have some good merch out, especially for the Halloween time, man. We have some fun ones. My favorite one that's going to be coming really soon will be Scrooge McDuck. I'm excited for the Scrooge McDuck shirt, man. I've got a Dick Tracy shirt coming. I've got our faces. I'm excited to have my face on a shirt. For once, a face on a shirt. I'm amazed. I'm amazed at all the fun things that we have there. So you'll be seeing those on our shows real soon. And then any other big things we're talking about? The holidays. We just had Josh and Gina's November 15th party, which was great. And I God, anything that they do on that's November 15th. I'm
November 15th.
I'm talking about that. That's coming up. Yeah, plug that. Sorry. I thought October. No, I'm a month off. October 15th is a whole different day. November 15th is their podcast price, so stay tuned for that. Anything else that we have important at the moment? We've been plugging this. So this is the thing that we've been plugging. We're working on our holiday show as we speak. So we've got some stuff in the pipeline. So other than that, I'm excited to introduce our guest. I'm going to give her a proper welcome once I read her immaculate bio. She has a wonderful bio. I've known our guest for quite some time now, but Katie Irwin has been working for the Disney company or property on Disney property on and off for almost 20 years, mostly as an artist, but also as an attractions cast member, where I personally met her from 2009 to 2013-ish. And her current role now is still on property. She's considered a freelance artist now, and is brought in a couple times a month on weekends to custom, gorgeous bottles for the Guerlain company inside the Mill Antoinette's Perfumery, which, if you don't know where that is, that was the perfume shop that good old Lillian Disney had put in Disneyland for herself. I'm going to give her the one and only welcome that she deserves, the Haunted Mansion welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please drag your bodies away from wherever you're at this Halloween and drag them to the screen for our one, our only, Katie Irwin. Please bring her on now. As the master so says so. Boom! There she is, our good friend, Katie Irwin. Welcome in.
Hi.
Hello, friend. Now, I mentioned earlier, I've known you for almost, it seems like 20 years almost at this point. It seems longer. It seems about 15-ish. However, we have known each other a long time, and we want to bring you on because tonight is spooky season. I know personally how much this season matters to you and how much you do love it. But you also have a really unique story that I think really fits the vibe of our show. And I brought it to Josh's attention that I have plenty of cast member friends or former cast member friends that we can bring on. But this one for this season, I think, or for this show, was very important. And overall, your time at Disney has spent 20 years. Now, we don't jump right in there. I like to know where that passion and love of Disney came from, because we all start somewhere. I know Josh started at a young age. I started at a young age. You live literally right by the parks. So when did your passion and love truly start for this wonderful thing that we call Disney?
Well, it started because of my grandma, because I call her one of the original Disney adults, because she grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and she watched the opening ceremonies on TV, and she thought she would never get to go there because she, living in Green Bay at the time. And then later in life, she found herself living out here in California, and lo and behold, here I come in the future, and she had been loving going to Disneyland even before I came. It's all because of her. And she was my very first sign-in I ever did when I became a cast member.
I remember how important your grandma was. You always talked about your grandma when we were together, and to have that love from someone who came from the Midwest. And Josh, you can kind of relate to this because you live in the South in South Carolina. However, your trek to Disney World was a little bit different, so you can kind of relate to that. But also just loving it from afar, and so having that interwoven story is unique, I think. And for your grandma, like, when did she, was she the first person to take you? Was it your mom and your grandma, your parents? How did that all work out? Because you said she was your inspiration to take you.
Well, my mom was also a Disney adult. How I was still constantly going when I was pregnant. My mom was pregnant with me going. So it was really a family thing. It was it was meant to happen because we were just a Disney family.
Yeah.
Movies in the house constantly. It was just our thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. That just it being your thing. And I mean, I honestly think that like having that and me personally, I know Josh, I would love for you to chime in on this aspect too, because we all have kids. Mine are a bit older than both of yours, but seeing a generational thing, and it's really unique in my sense, in your sense, because your mom and your grandma took you, and now you get to take your daughter. You know, it's like a generational thing there. And then, you know, for me, but Josh as well. I mean, those unique stories as parents, like what was it like your first time taking your daughter, Josh, in that sense, like being at that generational aspect, knowing that you were coming from a family that didn't really get to go? And then, like, I know for me, someone who had to wait every few years because of
Dude,
where I live.
I think that going as a parent or a grandparent has to be 1,000 times better than going as a kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think so.
I think that watching my daughter have those magical experiences is way better than having them for myself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going as a kid and then going like as an adult by yourself is fun. It is magical. But when you are able to watch somebody you love so deeply experience that same level of magic, I mean, that's the whole point of the whole deal, I think. You know?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. And I know for Katie now, going with your mom being a Disney adult and going with your grandma, that instilled not more of a deeper passion because I know, you know, you started there at a young age. You started, not only did you grow up going to Disney because you live close by, but you literally you started at like in 2006 as an artist in the parks. What brought you to do that?
That's cool.
Well, at the time, because I was in high school, I wanted to get a job because I was always that independent and I wanted to start earning my own money immediately as a teenager. So, one of my cousins had the same job, but she had left prior. And I asked her, hey, does your company hire high schoolers? And she said yes. So she passed on the information, and that was how I got around to getting a job inside the park, because it wasn't with Disney, because they're very strict on their age restrictions. So
Right? Yes, they are.
able to apply for Disney anyway. So that was like a little loop around.
Okay, I like that. And so from that time, so you started at 16. How long did it take for you to literally get that first job? Because you said the age restrictions held you back. Was it right away at 18 because you were already in the parks? Did you have to wait longer? How did that work out?
Well, I actually tried to apply for several different roles, and I just applied where I thought I had an interest, and attractions was just one of them. And I did have to wait until I was 18 for that. So I was already 2 years in the park, so that also kind of helped.
Well, because you knew the hustle and bustle of the parks, you knew the crowds, you knew what to expect, and that's the one thing I think being a cast member and being around it, because going as a guest, we honestly as guests, before I was a cast member and before you're a cast member, and Josh, you feel this, you really don't know what it is that those cast members go through, or what it is from that peer view until you're on the other side of it. And then it's about impressing Disney at the end of the day, on any aspect of it, because even if you're a third party, I think and correct me if I'm wrong, and Josh chime in here, but I think as a third party, it'd be harder to get in, because the ins and outs, quote unquote, of the park, but you don't know the Disney way.
That makes sense.
Do you think that that's something that that they kind of looked at with you, or did they say, this girl's got it, we just need to give her a chance?
Yeah, I would say that me knowing at least a little bit how the area I was applying for anyway, I I specifically remember at the time when I was applying for the attractions, and then I got that secondary email asking for more information. It was like, a pre-interview kind of a thing. It was a questionnaire.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically selecting, where I wanted to be in attractions, and it was in that specific area, which I already was in, which was New Orleans Square. So I already knew how the ins and outs of like watching Fantasmic, the guest control, and things like that. So it's like I studied the ins and outs for the first 2 years while I was there. And I don't know if that's just how
you're getting an education while being there.
Yeah.
Because New Orleans Square is a great place to get an education overall, paying attention to people because of how condensed that area is. And you'll know exactly what I'm about to say, the pinch point. That pinch point, and you get shoved over because if I remember right, parasols were right outside of Pieces of 8, across the way a little bit, right by Cafe Orleans in a way. That corridor, right? If I remember correctly?
It was between Cafe Orleans and what was then French Market.
That's right, French Market. Yeah, Tiana's. That's right. So there's that pinch point right there. And it shoves people into those areas. And you can see how people and guests will act from my peer view, walking through there as a guest and even as a cast member on GSO shifts. People get a little crazy through that corridor.
Yeah.
So you kind of get an understanding of how guests are going to truly interact with one another in just New Orleans Square in general because of how small and condensed that area is up to the waterfront.
Right.
So, and so your first attraction was what? I have to know. You have to tell everybody. What was your first attraction?
It was Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, Pooh. Oh, Pooh. That's silly out there. Oh, bother.
Oh, bother.
Yeah. You see, and for us, it replaced one of our favorite attractions, obviously. But over there, it replaced another beloved attraction.
Yeah.
So it pissed off both coasts.
But what a goated show, though. I mean, when you have Eeyore, I mean, I just love the representation of Eeyore.
Eeyore's so great.
And his interactions like Tigger and Piglet. I mean, you have this completely depressed donkey just walking around the show. I mean, the way they take care of my boy is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
This is a question, and not to digress from Katie, is yours like a show, over in WDW, or is it?
I've never been on it. I've never been on it.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you need to go on it. It's fun because Winnie the Pooh in California. It's one of my favorite.
I'm almost positive it's a ride.
It's one of my favorite rides, and especially if you're California sober, as many of you might pick up that term, it's even better. I can only imagine if you're on some of that Ken Kesey fun stuff.
Oh, because it's the big ass honey pot. You ride through a honey pot.
Yeah.
That's your ride car. Yeah.
It's so much fun. It's such a. So, Pooh working that because it actually debuted in 2007, I want to say 2006. It's a fairly new ride when you started there.
Kind of. It was there for a while. I mean, Country Bears closed in '97.
Oh, that's right. It did. I can, dude. Wow.
So Pooh has been around for
quite a while.
Yeah. So.
Wow. I could not imagine Country Bear being closed that long. That's crazy to me.
It's still a travesty.
That's why I keep saying if Canoes closes, we riot. We will riot. Buy that shirt at the website. It's there. Oh, cheap plug.
Operation Put on me.
Ah. Anyways.
I only said it 50 times last night.
Only 50 times last night. Or the other night when we when we did pre-records, right?
Oh,
all right.
Yeah.
So when you get into the Disney company, we all know there's catches. We know there's hang-ups. You don't always start at your attraction. What were you doing before you got your formal welcome to your attraction? Because we know there's that formality of having to learn Disney. What did you have to do to kind of get ready for that attraction?
For training wise, or
yeah, for training wise, this should be a Disney cast member. Just give people an insight as someone who's 18 years old.
Well, so you go through orientation like any job, and with Disney it's called traditions, and they go through the entire history of not only the company but the park as well, and they take you on tours and things like that. It's really educational and things like that. When you get actually into your past onboarding, you go through costuming, you get all of your pieces and your sizes, and they walk you through scheduling.
Talk about costuming. Let's talk about costuming for a second, because costuming, for those who don't know, it's housed on property, and costuming is costuming. I'll leave it at that, and I'll let you tell a little bit about costuming, because I tell you what, going through there, I had a hell of a time. What was your story like going through costuming?
Honestly, it's just like a giant closet to me, and I paid attention, so I was, and honestly, they didn't make it too difficult. They always had little stations where if you needed to look up an item, you can look it up, and it'll direct you to which aisle it is. And it's a giant warehouse.
It is huge. I think that's what threw me off, was how big it was. I was like, this go well, but also I had a common pant size, so I always went in for mansion pants or splash pants, and I never had pants, so I always had a hell of a time getting my pants.
That was everyone's problem, though.
Yeah, I know.
That was a problem company-wide, and it still is to this day.
Oh, gosh.
And jackets. Especially jackets.
I held on to my jacket as long as I could.
Everybody did.
Yeah, you didn't want to turn them in. So, you go through onboarding, and you start doing GSO and parades. GSO, guys, is group shifts. It's like, you see the red vesters. You're a red vester down on Main Street. Black tie, white shirt, black slacks. Those guys are on a group shift. Yep. Yeah, those guys. Yep, doing this. Or Fantasmic. Those are what you call group shifts. But that's where you truly learn the parks. Wouldn't you say, Katie? That's where you truly learn the park. Not, you can go learn your attraction, and you know that, but you truly learn how to gauge the pulse of the crowd, the pulse of the park for the day. Tell me what GSO shifts were like back in 2009, because when I came in 11 and 11, 12-ish, they were crazy, but I heard before that they were even a little bit crazier because of how loose things kind of were at one point.
All I know is when I came in and started learning it, it was the most organized process I had ever seen, and it flowed like a pulse point. It was
right.
It was just, everything made sense. Like when you sit down and look at it, because there were graphs of it,
right,
and you were like, oh, and it really made you look at the park in a different way. I still do it to this day in a way, and
I think what I meant loose was more of some of the antics backstage, because it made, I think, that looseness backstage with us as cast members, and I know you can speak to this before we get to how we kind of met, that looseness backstage among certain cast members, I think, allowed that flow to happen, because those charts helped, but knowing who you were on shift with, I think, helped even more, especially when you're a new cast member.
And indeed, because when it comes to guest control shifts, you'll have a little powwow before you're actually going out into your section, right? But that doesn't prepare you for being out there, one cast member for every 200 people
right
at a time. And you learn really quickly to pay attention. You learn really quickly to keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah.
And that's more so just to pay attention, because in a way you're responsible for the people around you to an extent.
Yeah. No, you are. Guests and other cast members. I can fully agree to that 100%. And
It felt like being thrown to the sharks.
It really did. And if you didn't have a good lead or a good shift leader, a good cast members around you, it made it even feel more hopeless at times. I from my personal remembering.
Yeah. And
now
the leadership team at the time was top notch.
It was. I remember when I came in, and you can kind of vouch for this, there were some loose ends from the prior regime that were kind of fickle and bitter, and they made it harder. But the ones who were coming in were very top-notch, top flight. They wanted to see the success of the new kids in the team because they were those new kids, and they saw how things were. And we heard those stories from our leaders. So talk about, like, because you said Pooh wasn't your favorite, and I know this from talking to you personally. Pooh was not your favorite attraction from knowing you, right?
No.
So why wasn't it particularly?
I don't know. I think it was just more, I was maybe more just disappointed that I didn't get to go where I wanted to be. But it didn't stop me from, accepting it because
it's Pooh.
It was a very minor inconvenience.
So can I ask you a question about Pooh?
Sure.
Do you think that being there first helped you kind of get some of that experience and made you, I don't know, like a better cast member for when you got to where you wanted to be, instead of going through like the, beginnings in the place where you wanted to be at? Do you think being like an attraction like Pooh just helped out?
Because that's where we all start. We don't just go start in guest control shifts. We start with our attractions. We get to know it. We learn the ins and outs of it, any history behind it, which there always is. We do our, we get to learn about it, and you do learn to appreciate it for what it is. And normally I did have a really good team that I would work with. Yeah. There wasn't anything about the team that, made it a horrible experience. So but it really helped to, it did prepare me for going into, let's face it, it is the kiddie ride of New Orleans Square or Bayou Country in that area, and Mansion is a more adult family ride. So a much different, I'd say, crowd to work with. So being at Pooh helped me to how to kind of think on my feet and improvise in a way. And then I was able to carry that to another themed attraction where I could think on my feet.
And is that where you wanted to be? Is that, like, for anybody listening, you started at Pooh, but where was it that you were like, I have to get there, that's where I want to be? Was that Mansion?
I wanted Mansion.
Gotcha.
And it's funny you brought up the onboarding process, because I remember when I came on, I got one shift a week at Mansion for like a month and a half because of just the viability of that ride. Like you said, it's where you wanted to be. That's where everybody in New Orleans Square wanted to be. There were two attractions that everybody wanted to be at: Pirates and Mansion.
Do you think it's because it's the most immersive that you could, like, really be part of that show?
Yes.
More?
Yeah.
Definitely.
That, and you can back me up on this or not, but they were the last two attractions that Walt worked on. So for that alone, that number one, you get to be more immersed in the attraction. Even at Pirates, you get to be a little bit more immersed at. Mansion, you're definitely immersed at, but they're the last two attractions Walt worked on. So to be put there automatically, you were looked at as like, what did this person do to get put at Mansion automatically, or what did they get to be put at Pirates automatically? You would agree to that, right?
Yeah, especially if it was Pirates. I was like, wow, that was
Pirates was So
Mansion, I knew of that. I knew at some point it was a first time attraction choice, because when I was going through my interview process and they asked me where do I want to go, I said mansion. They said, oh, we currently don't have it as a first choice. So
Right.
I knew that it was a possibility. So I wasn't too surprised. So when when you hired in, I learned that you were a mansion. I was like, oh man, they finally turned it to first choice.
I didn't get a choice. In my interview, they just asked me, they go, if we hire you, what attractions do you think would suit you, or do you feel that you would do good at? I go, well,
It's a small world.
Hey, that I would have fit in there. I'm a small person. I'm a small guy. It's cool. I wouldn't mind wearing those shorts on a hot day, but I couldn't. I could have, because they had long socks and they matched their uniform very well. But no, I told them flat out. I go, I would love my favorite attractions as a kid were Mansion, Pirates, Indy, Jungle Cruise. I go, Jungle Cruise. I could do the dry humor. Mansion, I could do that. I could do anything. But I just kind of asked me, give me your top, whatever, if we hired you, XYZ. And I never really got a choice. So that's fun. Yeah. We sat down at Traditions. You sit down at Traditions and you sit around you go into a boardroom, guys. If you're listening and you're thinking about it, when you get into Traditions, they take you to a board.
Bright boardroom. It's everything you would expect a Disney boardroom to be.
100%. And they slide you an envelope. They say, don't open it until we say. And you open it, you look at it, you put it back, and you don't tell anybody until you've confirmed and you sign paperwork. And when we left, you're able to tell people, like, oh man, you got this. And I'm like, I was happy I got Mansion, but I was sad I didn't get Jungle Cruise, because yeah, because I would have loved being a skipper, but I loved being a Mansion cast member. But for you, what finally happened to make you learn Mansion?
I reached like a probationary period where I was allowed to submit a request to learn another attraction. So they make you stay at your attraction for a certain period of time. That way you get to know it. You're there basically. You've learned the park. You've had other shifts like guest control. Sometimes there were other shifts that were considered special event, and they had you do like odd job shifts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was more so I bided my time and waited until I could request to learn a new attraction. And in that process too, they ask, what are your top 3?
Yeah.
I never would give them a top 3.
No, so I gave them, when they asked for my top 3, I said I want Splash, Pirates, or I would love to be able to be, at the time we were landlocked, but I'd love to be able to switch between lands and be able to float and go to Pirates or Indy. Not Pirates, but Jungle or Indy, because there were floaters between NOCC and Adfront. And so I would have loved to have been one of those. And like, well, we're landlocked right now.
They were more like grandfathered in for that.
Yeah. So I tried.
Whenever I requested to have a new attraction, I only listed one.
Mansion.
Because I didn't want to learn Pirates. I didn't want to learn Splash.
Splash was fun. I loved learning Splash. So that brings us to how you and I initially met, because with that part of the story, guys, we've got some later on in the show, this is our Halloween episode, guys. Don't worry, we got some paranormal stories we want to talk about. But we have to get through some of the heavier, heady stuff to get to the fun stuff, right? Josh, wouldn't you agree to that? I think it's a good plan, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've already learned. I just thought they told you where to go. I didn't know that you got to just pick where you went. That's pretty cool. They take your suggestions, and during the process too, there probably is a little bit of like looking at you, hearing how you talk.
100%.
And just kind of imagining where you would probably fit in best,
I can tell you, I got pigeonholed. I showed up. I had slacks. I had black slacks. I remember this to a T. I had a fresh pressed white, like button down shirt. I wore a black tie and a gray vest. and I didn't have a coat on. It didn't have a long coat or nothing. I just went in with just a sport coat, just something, not a sport coat, but like a zipper, like, Under Armour zip coats type of thing.
I heard Matt was looking for one more soul.
Yeah, and I sat down and I took my jacket off, and I guarantee you from that point they had me pigeonholed as to where I was going to go, regardless of where I wanted to go. That was what was going to happen, I think, because they saw me in a 3-piece suit, and as you know, butlers wear those 3-piece suits that are a woolly hot mess. So I remember first meeting you when I showed up late 2012, early 13, if I remember correctly. Maybe in early 12. The days blend together. I just know we met at the parks. And it was a GSO shift. First shift I ever worked with you was as Red Vester. And and it was Mickey Soundsational. It was the first running of Mickey Soundsational, which is some of my favorite parades to this day. I've seen a lot of parades, and that was a wonderfully done parade. Paint the Night came after that, if I remember right, and it was a great parade, but I still thought Soundsational was way better. And I remember I was the new kid, and I had her name was Rebecca. Remember, short, my height, brown hair, your color, brown hair, and she worked. I think Mansion. No, she was an ad front lead doing GSO, but she was my trainer for GSOs.
Okay. Yeah.
And she was wonderful, but I had no one else. I knew no one else but Nathan Barnaby, who I came in with. Nathan, if you're out there, shout out, buddy. So with that, I literally knew no one, and you were like, "Hey, I don't know you. I want to know you. Who are you?" And we went. There was that Subway at the in between. You're like, "Let's go have food." And we went and had food. And we ate sandwiches and we talked, got to know each other. And from that point on, it was like we seemed to end up on every single GSO shift forever together.
Yeah.
And then I think it came to my third or fourth when you go, "What attraction do you work?" I go, "Mansion." You're like, "Wait, what? You got Mansion?" I go, "I don't know how. I just did." But, and it was just like, from that point on, she's like, we were fast friends because she's like, "I work Mansion." So, and she's like, "I work more during the day." Because at that time you did. You worked more during the day. I worked more evenings. But we ended up on a lot of group shifts and Fantasmic shifts. And that was a wild experience. Because you know what? You were working. So I came in 12 because you had just started working Twain as well. So you started working Twain in Columbia, and you were afraid of learning Columbia. You just learned Twain. But I remember we did our first couple GSO Red Vest shifts, and then we got thrown on a Fantasmic shift. Now, let's talk about Fantasmic before we talk about any of the fun debauchery that happened. Fantasmic at Disneyland is very different than Walt Disney World by a long shot. Two different shows. Would you agree to that from what you've seen, Katie? Both shows?
Yes. Yeah.
And Rivers of America in Disneyland, which is where ours is housed. I don't know what happened if yours was in at WDW, if it was on your rivers, or if it's out somewhere else in the lake area. But ours takes place right there. And at that time, I love Tarzan's Treehouse, but that stupid pinch point as a guest or as a cast member was ridiculous. So take us through your first Fantasmic shift, Katie, because Fantasmic for me was a wild adventure that first shift. What was yours like?
I am going to apologize. I honestly don't even remember.
That's fine.
First Fantasmic shift. I actually preferred to work Fantasmic shifts.
Okay.
So if there was a group shift, automatic I would call, just give me a fan shift immediately. Right. They knew every time I would call.
Yeah.
You got a group shift fan? Yep. And and it came down to where they would ask me what I would prefer. Sometimes I would get that 5:30 fan shift, which was really nice. So fan
was one of those things. So you see, I had it different upstairs. I worked it to where I got really friendly with some of the people, some of our leads upstairs, to where I could work a red vest shift and a fan shift and then end up at our at the big house because
Yeah.
they knew I wanted to put in that extra little bit of work. So group shifts are typically 4-hour shifts, period, point blank. So they'd say, all right, we can't give you a fan shift on top of your red vest shift, but we can give you a mansion shift. Did you ever find yourself in those situations where they'd be like, hey, do you want to work this? Or did they just knew that Katie wanted to work this and this alone?
This and this alone. And
Okay.
honestly, I really wasn't able to get extra hours on the fly sometimes. So I had to just stick. I just had to stick to the schedule.
I think
So.
some of it for me was they knew I lived far enough away. So if I was going to come out there, they're going to make it worth my time. So,
Right.
and you lived a lot closer within the LBC area. So it was not that bad.
Right.
So with us meeting and spending time on fan, I remember a lot of the debauchery with, so I'm going to throw names out there, and I want you to give me one word responses as to how you feel about that person. Kristen Wiseman.
I thought honestly she was really nice.
Okay.
I
all right, nice. I'll take that. We had Mario. Can't I remember his last name? Lead Mario.
Oh, he's wonderful. To this day, I still think he's just a great guy.
Okay. Martinez. You know who I'm talking about.
I adore that guy so much with a cautious respect.
Cautious. Okay. Kavika.
He was funny.
Lastly,
I didn't get to know him very well. I just knew that he was just really funny.
Lastly, Doc Love.
I miss him.
I'm going to do it, and you're going to really love it. So we're going to get into it real fast with Doc Love. And we're going to get into some of the debauchery because we got some more of your story to tell. But we're here, and we're going to circle it to Doc Love. We're going to talk about Doc Love's sermons. Oh.
The Church of
Fan. The Church of Fan. Club Fan. Tell us about those times with Club Fan and Doc Love and the sermons on the Mount right there in front of me. Not Mansion by Pirates, right there in front when he's giving us our debriefing. What were those likes in our briefings?
Okay, so I want to preface first by saying at times working with that entire group of cast across New Orleans Critter Country, there was
Ad Front too. Ad Front, because we were housed with Ad Front and they came and worked
Ad
GSOs.
Front too. Yes, of course. But our main group of people, that was probably the most incredible group of people you could have worked with across the board.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't care for someone.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Yeah.
Work ethic. Disney work ethic. Can't even talk. I'm so passionate about it.
No, it's true.
There was this weird sense of camaraderie
that really
no
was.
one could explain to this day. I still talk to some cast members that we worked with at the time, and they even say the same thing. When these were basically, if you want to get business about it, they were post shift powwows.
They were.
That's what they were, but
they weren't powwows. I wouldn't call them a powwow. They were technically, yes, they were post shift powwows.
Because of this connection we had, it was a deep mutual respect for everybody.
Yeah, it really was.
It was a very powerful gathering to be a part of.
It was.
It made working fun. I remember having some of the best times working there. And I've been told that doesn't exist anymore.
It's a dying thing.
So if you want to know how it felt going to those Church of Fan where Doc Love is standing on his pulpit and
yes.
he's giving us these just incredible words of encouragement of how
affirmations.
Yeah.
They were amazing.
It was uplifting.
He would call out certain cast members too. He would watch everybody. And he'd be up there and he'd look and he'd say, "You know what? Tonight you took the lead and you did this and you made Fan better because of that." He laughed at me one time because he didn't think I'd do it. I'm going to tell the story and Katie's going to laugh because she'll know exactly what I did. And she saw me do it at Mansion as well. And I've told Josh this story. So I literally, during these sermons, before the sermon would happen, or before, like he'd give us our pep talk, which was, for all of us who were disgruntled that night. And then he'd give us our debrief. He goes, "Watch out for strollers." And when I go, if one's in my way, I'm moving it all the way across the park. He goes, "No, you won't." I go, "Watch me." So no joke. You and I got on stroller patrol, and they were supposed to park it at the pinch point right there by the Tarzan tree that they just took out and made it so much better. Oh, we were there opening day, Crystal and I, my wife, for the new treehouse reopening, and it was such a better feel. But they were supposed to put it at the pinch point, and they parked it right in front of Pirates. And I looked at him. He looked at me. He goes, "You're not going to do it." I go, "Watch me." And I walked it all the way clear to Big Thunder. I walked it clear up around to Big Thunder and parked it and walked back. He goes, "You're a jerk." I go, "We told him not to do it. I'm not going to give him an easy out. And you dared me." So that night, he got up and he goes, "Don't be like James." And he used me as the example. But it was funny because he dared me, but he also wanted to show it as like, don't be like him, but also make it a point to make sure they know what they're doing. They were affirmation, but they were also very... They taught you things in the process. They were very it was much deeper than just an affirmation or an uplifting at times. Because he would almost dare you to do something so he could teach everybody else.
Pretty much, yeah. You were made examples of, but it was done in a way where it was like poking fun at your sibling.
Yeah.
In a way. But we held each other accountable.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
I remember, I think one of my favorite times with you during Fan, and it was during a grad night. Oh, yes. We'll talk about grad night a little bit in more depth, but as all of us, so you talk about that camaraderie. You look at cast members today, and you go to any park, whether it's WDW, whether it's Disneyland. I don't know about the overseas parks, but I know about the domestic parks. Because I know during even our time at WDW, on the opposite coast, it was the same sort of camaraderie, same sort of mentality. But you look at their shows, you look at the parades, they had link arms. And they would always make sure that they, if they were trying to create a diversion in a pathway and you had enough bodies, you linked arms, you had each other, and you created that diversion. And I remember doing that. It was me, you, Alex was in there. He wasn't a lead that night because we had Mario, we had Roberto, we had, Doc Love, and he was just one of the GPs that was there to back up. And we all just kind of linked arms, and we spanned from, I swear it was the front of Mansion, front of Pirates to the end of Mansion to block that whole section of the train off because the train had just closed too for that little bit. And it was just so amazing because it was a bend not break moment. And that spoke, I think, ultimately to that camaraderie. Do you think that camaraderie is something that is missing that would help the parks today overall? Because if they had what we had.
I think so. I think that today's cast don't love their jobs as much as we used to. Mm-hmm. And I think today it's more just a job to more cast than not. Not to say that there aren't cast who are old school, but I think the mentality would help a little bit more. But
okay.
but then again, I'm not working in their conditions either.
No, yeah, none of us are.
So that's not me to say otherwise.
Right. No. I like to ask that question because as former cast members, we have this. We look through the park in rose-colored lenses sometimes, and I feel as if
To a fault, maybe.
to a fault. And I don't know, Josh. Do you see that as just a guess at the parks, like the cast members might do their like?
I was about to say that. Back to the selection process. I think where Disney World does it right in this current kind of environment is the mansions, the pirates are still full of cast members who seem like they genuinely love their job. Now, where you get people who are just kind of there is all your like really small kid attractions. They're just kind of like, yeah, go ahead, whatever. But still at mansion, I mean, those cast members are locked in for sure.
I will say something on that too. Even someone who is, I'm technically looking from the outside in now too.
Right.
Even when I'm scrolling on TikTok, like laying in bed at night, and I'm on Disney Talk or whatever the algorithm is, I see more videos of magic moments from Walt Disney World. Not that I don't see Disneyland, but I majority see Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
So, and I noticed it was a flip because I remember when we were working, it was the opposite.
It truly was. You're 100% right.
So there's something in the environment of the work environment that's shifted.
Okay.
I think it might be the pool too of people.
It might be
a lot more people.
And that could be it.
Probably applying for Walt Disney World because of just the mass population there.
So we got a couple more stories, and we're gonna hop into this paranormal stuff. Josh, do you have anything you want to ask?
Not related to anything we've talked about so far.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off if I did.
No, I'm chomping at the bit for
these stories.
Some of the because stuff? I mean, before when you first mentioned it, that's the first I've ever thought of it.
Okay.
I don't in my brain. I don't connect Disney World or Disneyland to have any like spooky lore to it. So I'm pretty.
So we'll get to some of the funny stuff.
Who's Timmy?
You're gonna love it.
Who's Timmy? Okay.
So there's a lot of questions I have.
A lot of questions. Okay, so we got to well, let's finish up with the displaced NOCC kids and fan kids like we were. We were displaced for a summer. We were not, but I think that displacement made us tighter. It made us happier, and it made us better cast members. Now, during those times, there were some crazy events that took place. And we're not going to talk quite into the spooky yet. We got to talk about your time at your current company. We got to talk about Twain and Columbia a little bit, but I got to talk about grad nights and the Christian camps that would come through. Oh, dear Lord. All right. So I'm going to give you my story, and I know you've got stories to combat this. I remember the craziest story besides Mansion. Mansion is a different monster for grad nights, as you know. Mansion, you can almost get away with murder. No pun intended. With how much debauchery you can get away with as a cast member, or the way it used to be.
Back in the day.
I don't know how it is today. I can't speak to cast members today, but I remember back when we were there, you could have a lot of fun. Now, I know Splash Mountain was a time of its own stuff where I had to sit in the hole and stop people from going down, into the briar patch doing, some of that after dark loving that we all like to do from time to time. However, we have a good friend by the name of Roberto. Let's speak to Roberto and let's tell a Roberto story and grad night and Christian camp nights. Katie, you got more of these than I do. The one I do know is of the boys who thought they were going to be a little flamboyant. We'll be PC here. And try and pay.
They were trying to be fresh, and they were also being really rude and annoying to me and other guests around them intentionally.
Yeah, they were intentionally
they were being fresh because there were these they were just freshly graduated, thinking that they were these big bad adults, and they're coming in. They see me, and they start, being weird, and then they're just being really rude to other guests, and so I was at the front of mansion, the first set of steps out front, and then the next position after that is leading into the foyer where the extending room is. And Roberto is working the extending room, and we didn't have very many guests at the time, so there was it was just us. So I had the guest waiting there away from where I wanted them to come inside, and I peeked in and said to Roberto, I'm going to make this a small group of people. And he was like, okay. And I was like, can you take care of these group of guys? They're giving me and everyone a hard time. And I don't want to give the details because it's their story, but
oh man, all I know.
I will just say that he made very certain that these group of boys, there was about 8 of them. I only sent the 8 of them in. And I let Roberto have them. And make sure that they never disrespected a woman again.
They were traumatized. This story, I wasn't working that day. So that was one of the days I had off for grad night. I had the next night for grads. But I came in, and that's all everybody could talk about in the break room was how Roberto.
That's one point I would also like to make something abundantly clear as a woman. Back in the day, I felt the safest.
Yeah.
Working there. I personally trusted working there, working with most of the people who I make connections with on certain levels, like fan shifts, mansion shifts.
Yeah.
Certain people I knew that I could trust. And they looked out for all of us women.
Yeah, we made sure of it. That whole crew, even when I got there, that's one thing they said, you look out for your sisters. We can handle this. There was a lot of males on our staff, but there was far more females on that staff. And they said for every one of us, there's about 3 of them, and we got to look after them and take care of them. And that was one thing that was made very abundantly clear to me as a male at Disney when I was there. And, walking through that tiger's mouth for the kids today, man, we all did it. And, even going through the Christian, the Christian camps, the Christian kids were worse than the graduating kids.
Yeah.
You would not.
And they came during the day.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it, Josh. You wouldn't believe the Christian kids, how naughty they are. You talk about sneaking off into every dark corner. They're not. They need Jesus. They need Jesus at that point.
There was one particular couple that I had, unfortunately, to have to work that shift where they got caught, and they were messing around on Mansion. And come to find out, they were on a retreat from Arizona.
Oh, gosh.
And then we learned from security, because we were all nosy. So we all had to have the tea at the time. So we asked security, okay, what happens now? And they're saying we have to call their parents to come get them. Like, from Arizona.
That's like a depending on part of Arizona you live in, that could be anywhere from a 4 to 8 hour drive to Anaheim. That's a lot of time to stew and be pissed off about how to pick your kids up from a church retreat at Disneyland.
That's rough.
Think about that. That's crazy, right? All right. So again, craziness. If you go there guys, all right, if you're listening, if you're a teenager listening to the show, we have to do this real quick. We haven't done it one show at part of the show yet. Is it going to kick there? Pop up. TVMA. There it is. Guys, with TVMA, or Josh would like to do. Josh, go ahead and do it. There it is. Josh and his debauchery of his own. If you're there and you want to go fuck at Disneyland, think twice of it. Don't do it. It's the dumbest thing you can do. Because if security catches you, guess what? You eat that yellow sheet that says, I'm trespassed for a long time.
That's like the luckiest thing that can happen to you, bro. I mean, you get arrested for that shit. You know what I mean?
If you're an adult, don't do it.
Yeah.
That happens too.
No, yeah. No, I know stories. I got stories. I have them. I know. I have stories from people that I've talked to, and they're like, yeah, don't do it. We're dumb. So with that, let's jump into Mark Twain, because you eventually moved your way from getting Mansion, where we worked a lot together, and we'll talk some more Mansion here with our spooky stories because there's a lot to talk about. But you worked at Twain in Columbia, and let's talk a little bit about that real quick. What was that like? Because I wanted to do boats eventually, and
wonderful. It was okay. So in the area, the Mark Twain in Columbia was actually considered the higher seniority attraction. Every land or department has their high seniority attraction. Ours happened to be Mark Twain in Columbia. And everyone said you have to be there a minimum of like 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I really don't want to learn anything other than those two. I was really nervous about learning rafts, because rafts are not on a track.
No, they're not. Those you have to guide. Those you're guided.
Boating, free driving.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to risk that. But Mark Twain and Columbia, they're on a track. And the Columbia, you actually do learn to drive it and park it and things like that. So there was a little bit of like a thrill to it. But
that's pretty cool.
Again, I didn't give them an option. I said, I want to learn it. That's my next attraction.
Fair.
And they gave it to me. So I don't know if it's because I didn't give them the option of anything else, and I was due to get another attraction, because I think they used to make you learn more.
Yeah. They used to make you learn more than one or two attractions.
Yeah. So I was coming up on, I had to know my third, and I didn't want to learn Pirates. I didn't want to learn Splash. And that was the only other attraction I wanted. So
when I left the parks, I was getting ready to do my third, and I was approved to do Pirates.
Oh.
Yeah, when I left. I had just gotten approved.
But if you would have had so much fun with that.
I loved it because of just the being in that murky, smelly water.
Yeah. It's not the greatest.
No, it's not. However, so that ended up being, if I remember correctly, your favorite attraction, you said, right? That was like your all-time favorite attraction to be a part of. Was that?
It was. Mark Twain specifically ended up being my absolute favorite attraction, even above Mansion. And that's the one when I first got in. I grew to love the Mark Twain so very much.
It's the history of that boat. There's a history of that boat.
Just something about her.
So I think the thing about her, in my personal humble opinion, it was Walt and Lillian's boat. It was where they had their their wedding anniversary party. Louis Armstrong played on that boat. The first time they ever took that boat out, it almost sunk. I mean, there's something about the Twain that is so pure and so magical that it just screams Disney all the way around. Now, you did leave the company for a short time. You worked for another company that we're not going to mention or talk about, but we do know that happened. Let's fast forward to where you're at now with your current company. And you're doing a lot with this current company. You're not currently a cast member, but you're on property. Tell us what you're doing with this boutique and the painting.
So I'm just considered a freelance. I come in a couple times a month to hand paint the perfume bottles that are sold in the boutique that Walt gifted Lillian back in 1966, and it's a Guerlain boutique now. Yeah. So Guerlain is a French brand, so being in the French Quarter, that's what it.
Makes
That's the
perfect
current
sense.
brand that they have. It's been so many themes prior, and it's sold many other brands of perfume at one
Mhm.
point too. But it used to be a full on perfumery where
Yep.
you can go and get a customized perfume made specifically to your preferences. And that actually was a thing up until like the early 90s.
Crazy. Yeah, I remember that now. I do remember that. So that's awesome. So what do you do there? What is it that you personally do when you come in as a freelance artist?
I come in and we have design offerings that a guest can choose me to paint on their bottle for them. So they choose a fragrance, and then I paint on it, and it's like a free gift for them.
And do you find that guests enjoy that? Do you find that they love that they get a custom gift from Disneyland after buying this expensive perfume?
I've had several people privately message me and let me know why they purchased their bottle, and it made me realize how very much it was another way of making magic, but it's in such a niche way. So it very much is an appreciated offering because so many people resonated with it in some way. It's been a part of people's weddings.
Oh wow.
It's been a part of people remembering their children. So
That's
it's become a very personal.
that's beautiful. That is wonderful and I love it. So working for them has been a joy and a blessing to this point. I know from talking to you personally, and that you've had some great experiences doing that, and I think it's a great fit for you and your artistic capabilities and what you do,
Thank
and
you.
it's truly it's awesome, and I'm happy you're in a place still in the parks that you can still be associated in that aspect of it. Now, Josh, the fun begins for you, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been having fun.
I know
I've
you.
been
I know
having
you've been
fun,
having fun learning, but I know
but
this is the part of the show that
you gotta try to fix that spooky camera.
my camera's being spooky right now. Give me a second, guys. Talks amongst yourselves while I fix this camera. I think I know what the issue is. Give me a second.
You're good, man. You're good. I think though, to your point, Katie, that you were talking about a niche market for magic. I think, in my opinion, that's where the most magic happens. Is in these, of course, you have the big moments in the park that are borderline expected from most people. But there are little moments like that you don't, you think, okay, I'm gonna get a bottle, I'm gonna get it, commemorated, and then when it's done, you look at it and you go, oh man, just it really settles in there, and that's such a cool way to deliver magic to people.
It's it's very humbling. I will say I it's my most favorite role I've ever had working at Disney.
I was gonna
And
ask you that if
I'm not
that's
even
now your top.
and I'm doing it as me. I'm not affiliated with anybody really. I had the Guerlain is, I would say, technically a client. So I I get to enjoy this very niche and rare magic making almost like from the outside in a way. So I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky, and I'm humbled too. So
That's
Disney,
amazing.
Disney knows what they're doing, putting
They,
people in the right places.
they do, and that's the one thing her and I think have talked about a lot is just putting them in the right places and putting them where they belong. Because you started out in the art world there, you've worked your way through a cast member, and now you're with Guerlain and doing the right thing with them. And Disney, Disney had to sign off on that. So yeah, Josh is right. They're doing the right things and putting you in the right places.
Yeah.
All right. So I know you've been having fun, Josh, but now the fun really begins. We're going to start talking some of these spooky stories since it is Halloween. This is why we did truly bring Katie on. But in order to get to these spooky stories, we have to get to know our guests, right? We have to get to know who they are, what their passion is, what drives them. I think we learned that, didn't we, Josh? Don't you think our listeners learned that?
1,000%.
Thank you.
Now, Katie, you and I have experienced some paranormal bullshit at the parks. And it's one of those things that I know it happens on the East Coast. I know it happens on the West Coast for sure. And I know it happens in the big house.
Haunted Mansion is just a themed attraction. It really, truly is. I've always firmly believed, like, so if anyone who's watching this podcast tonight, if they don't believe, I truly believe it's because you've never experienced it.
Yep.
Because once you experience it, then you know it exists. So, and Mansion very much has its connectivities. Several, actually.
Several, yes. Let's start with your dying question, Josh. Your dying question.
Okay.
You brought him up earlier. You asked the
yeah.
question.
Yeah, I want to start with this Timmy guy.
Timmy. Oh, Timmy. I'll let you start with Timmy. I have my own story with Timmy. I'll let you start with your story.
So, I've only ever caught glimpses of him out the corners of my eye. I don't know if it's because I back then I loved working there, but I'm a bit of a fraidy cat at times. So I think maybe some of these beings, they made sure they knew they were there, but not to an extent of fully showing themselves. I got more of the tugging on clothes. So I have seen Timmy out the corner of my eye several times, and he likes to hang out in either of the extending rooms, mostly the one that's closest to the wall. And then I've also seen him running up and down the hall at the corner. Like, there used to be a section where wheelchair guests would come and go, and I would see him run up and down that chained off area. So the lore behind him is that he was someone's child who had unfortunately died early in life. I can't remember if it was like he was sick or if it was tragic. Regardless, he loved that ride, and this is how ash spills kind of began in a way.
Yeah, he was the first.
He got left there, and so now his spirit, haunts there, and he's crying. He's sad. He's been left there by his parents. So
yeah, so my experience with Timmy. So I had two experiences with him. I was at Mansion at night. It's not uncommon to have a person running ER and the load 1 area. We know this because you get closer to the end of the shift, less people in the parks, less
it's not necessary for staffing.
Yeah, so you can in theory run the ER, walk in front of the guests to the load area, get them on, because you usually would have someone at load 2, and person at load 2 would be there covering that spot for you, just kind of looking over it.
Right.
And I remember I had just loaded a last bit of passengers, and I get a call on the phone at load 1 at the belt. Hey, did you notice anything different going on when you walked by? Nothing. No, why? The chains are now swinging. The chains you walk through Mansion doing this, just swinging both sides. I go, no, I heard a little bit of laughter, but that was I thought it was the kids up there. They're like, no, we think Timmy's here. I go, Timmy? It's like my third or fourth night at mansion, working late, no experience with the whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I heard this and I hear the giggle. He's sad, but he's still running up and down the halls. He's got to find fun somehow. And no freaking joke. I come around the corner. I thought they were messing with me. I swear on my children. I thought they were messing with me. I saw the chains on both sides. He'd run up one side, pulling and tugging on him, and run up the other, laughing and playing.
Yeah.
What in the actual hell? I had never in my life experienced that. So, a couple months later, I was sitting up in where you look over the cameras, up in the main office area, and same sort of eerie night. It was just off, and I turn around because you open that curtain to see what's going by. If there's anybody coming by, you hear noises through the mansion, no matter what. Doesn't matter if it's haunted or not. You hear random creaks, crannies, whatever. And I open it and I look to see if something's going on or if a kid decided to stay on or whatever. And I shut the curtain. I turn back around and I look at the monitors and what's happening again. They literally, out of nowhere, they were still and they just started doing this, swinging on one side. Out of nowhere. I cannot explain to you how unnerving that is as a cast member if you have not experienced it. I know Katie's experienced some level of it, but that having Timmy mess with you is very unnerving because you don't know how to interact with him at first.
Yeah, several of our staff at the time had multiple interactions with Timmy. I always had the ones that I always had interactions was at the unload area.
Oh, yes.
So how this happened, again, another ash spill. Let's do the pre-story. So one day we have our shift during the day. All of a sudden we had to close because there was someone decided to dump their loved one's ashes into the ride again. But they managed to do it for the entire track from start.
How they
finish.
Did that, I will never know.
It was so good. It could have been an inside job, but I'm not saying it is.
It was
that good, but they did get caught, and it was such a bad mess that we were closed for at least an hour and a half, which is unheard of, honestly.
Usually, and no matter, guys, if you are listening and you have the inkling to want to go do this, don't do this, guys, because it does shut down the ride. It shuts the ride down. It goes down, and when you shut down the ride, it is down for at least 45 minutes because, you might spill it minimum. You might spill a little ash, and hey, my family wanted this, but the minimum, you have to get maintenance in there. They got to go clean it. Then they have to go cycle the ride. Once you cycle the ride.
If my wife is watching this, do not dump me in It's a Small World. If something happens to me and you pour me out of there, I am going to freak out.
And your loved ones just end up in the trash. It's not like they stay there. So I don't know, but I digress. But anyway, so after that whole event happened, it was an hour and 45 minutes. It was pretty freaking bad. Not a couple days later, everyone starts talking about, we have a new one. There's a new one. It's at Unload. What are you talking about? We have a new spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, great. And it was a woman. And she did several things. I got tugged on by my cape several times down there.
Yep.
And it would only happen at the closing shifts. But at least for me, it was only at closing.
No, I interacted with her. You're talking 131. I know who you're talking about. 100%.
It's not even that. There's an actual lady down in the unload.
Oh, yeah, I know her too. Okay, I know who you're talking about now. Okay.
She's the
There's
one.
a couple old ladies.
Yeah, so the one that's at Unload was the one that would tug on our clothes. She would tug on my cape mostly. She called out people's names. Oh, and now I can confirm that because I saw Jamie today after coming home. And he said, yeah, I would get my name called out by a woman at unload. So that's another
hated
cast.
Working unload
that's
at
another
night.
Current cast, actually.
Yep.
Hi, Jamie. Hi,
Jamie. Good seeing you, buddy.
They're gonna watch tonight.
Yeah, I remember her. So I remember one night, and you can confirm this. It feels like at unload, you get off that ride, and guys, if you want to feel like chills, when they say it's hot and cold running chills, no. You feel like you are being watched. It's unreal. No, that right there, that face right there, that's how you feel right there, Josh. Like you feel like your back is to the wall, and you're walking on that treadmill trying to check the stuff. You stop for a minute and you take a breath, and you hear little Leota and her laugh and her "come again" or whatever she and
no, but it's a very distinct.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, someone's watching you walk that treadmill.
It's so it's like you want to be done as soon as you can. You want out of that area because of how intense.
I'm gonna give myself away because we're not. I don't think we're supposed to be doing this, but I did anyway. Because you were able to, you could step up onto the ledge of like the control board.
Yeah, I did that too.
I used to sit on the ledge. I would sit on the ledge just so it didn't feel like someone was watching my back.
Yep. Yeah. You're the one who taught me that. You're the one who taught me how to do that. I actually came and relieved you one night. You go, and I told you, I think the first time I ever got it confirmed. It's like, I hate being here.
My husband's calling me really quick.
Oh, Mike. It's Mike. I love her husband. Mike is amazing. I love him.
I guess he wanted something, now he doesn't, so.
No, that's Mike for you. Mike, you would like Mike, Josh. You really would. He's a good
I just thought it was somebody calling her name.
It could have been one of the spirits that followed her home. You never know. Do you have any questions so far, Josh, about these spooky stories?
Yeah. Has anybody talked with people in World? Is there anything like that in World that you guys know of, or is it specifically to land?
I know there's some in World. I don't know specifically where.
Yeah, I would honestly, if you can find yourself either former or current World cast, it would be best bet.
I've read plenty of stories people dumping ashes.
Yep. Yeah. You can ask them. Anybody at the World. I mean,
next week.
You think about it. You think about Bay Lake even and World. I mean, all the crazy stuff that's happened out there with alligators and people.
Or if you really wanted to, like, maybe put the word out, you should start like a Reddit thread.
Oh yeah.
You would get stories from here until next Tuesday.
You would. I brought up 131 earlier, so you brought up one old lady to another old lady.
Yeah.
131.
She's what? I would say she's a little bit more not bad, but she's annoying.
She's mischievous and old.
Yeah.
And weird. So I'll be honest, it's spooky in the sense. So you're standing there at load 1, and you always like the buggies go to 131. That's the ending number, if I remember correctly, right? 131 was the number.
Yeah.
And she always, for whatever reason, at the very end of the night, would sit in 131 and ride the attraction over and over again. But you would never catch her on the attraction as she came to load. You'd have to catch her. She crested the corner coming down. And she would laugh at you if you caught her. She would laugh at you. Because she's just having a ball. But it was weird. The first time you turn around, You see this figure in the buggy laughing at you.
Yeah.
It's an unnerving feeling. It really, I've said unnerving a lot. No, that's unnerving to see a ghostly shadow pointing and laughing at you coming down the mountain as she comes. Straight up. It's
It
weird.
was the closing shifts. While they were nice because they weren't busy, it was also you kind of took a risk if you wanted to see or hear or experience anything.
Did you ever stand on the front porch of the mansion and just feel the aura coming off the water? Just the aura come. That was Josh. I'm going to paint a picture for you right now, and Katie, fill in some blanks for me, if you can. Imagine it's night at Disneyland or Disney World, whatever mansion you choose, and you're standing there looking over the rivers of America, and the patio is perfect. It's that red brick. You're standing there. You're looking out over it.
Mind you, this was back in the day when the park was closing early because it had an early night and it was a school night, so there was nobody.
No, it was no.
There was no nighttime show. Nothing.
No pun intended. Deathly still. It was like you had a calm breeze, and you would sit there, and that breeze would hit the back of your neck. And no joke, you would just feel this sense of aura from the water and mansion all collide at one presence, one time, one feeling. And you would feel just this weird feeling you'd never felt in your life.
Would you ever notice too, those closing shifts, there would be fog, but then as soon as you leave the area and leave the resort, there'd be no fog.
No fog. Yep, 100%. I stood watching the water off of the Rivers of America. The fog just come up and slide over the mansion and slide down into the bayou and slide into it. It was weird, but the moment you get off property, no fog.
Nothing.
Zero. It's the eeriest thing, which leads me to the scariest thing in mansion. And this is a confirmed. Now I can confirm the aura I felt, but now that everything has been confirmed by all other cast members, Leota's. So World does not have this. They have a seance table, but they do not have a seance table that sat foot and lived in the Winchester Mystery House in California and was a real seance table from the 1800s. Had seances performed on it. Now, Katie, I'm going to let you tell your story with that seance table before I tell mine, because our stories are very different, and they differ in how we were taught. So take it away with Leota's seance table in this story.
So I do want to preface this. This isn't my personal story. This is what I like to call a cast member legend. So it was passed down to me by someone before me. It was a lead of ours at the time when I was training, because I like to learn about the attraction and ask all those interesting and off-the-wall questions when I'm learning something. So my lead told me the story about this table of Madame Leota's, that it technically originally belonged to a voodoo witch practitioner from New Orleans, and it was brought in for the attraction specifically. Yeah. And then somehow along the way, only a small group of people were allowed to clean and maintain her table over the years. And no one knows how that happens. No one can tell you how this group of people is selected, allegedly. And if you're not authorized to maintain Leota's table, something bad happened to you. Allegedly there were accounts where people had things attached to them. They would either get badly hurt, and supposedly someone died from said instances. And I've also had guests come up to me when I was working shifts and ask me if we had added anything new to the Madame Leota scene. I'm like, No. What do you mean add something new? Like that would make news, you know? So
Yeah.
they're like, no, there was a black figure sitting in the chair.
Yep.
I had 2 people tell me this. And I was like, oh, okay. That's good to know. So I'm very cautious and wary of when going through that part of the ride, even to this day, knowing even just that, but even having a guest who would never know that story ask me that.
Yeah.
That's a little too coincidental for me.
Right. So I had our wonderful lead Amy at the time, wonderful gal. When I was learning that attraction, I was told we're not supposed to go over there's a barrier between the table and the attraction. And as cast members, you get some privileges to walk through there. And I was told, oh, we're just going to go over the barrier. Nothing will happen. And we literally got this far from that table. And to say that every time I go there, I feel that energy much deeper than I think most people will, because you're not supposed to be that far from the table. There were stories of books, like the seance book, the seance book being open on the table and being shut and moved to a different place when maintenance would come in, when they take over the attraction. It'd open up and they'd come in, and after the attraction, they'd open the attraction back up. It'd be a different page someplace else. And they would not touch that book. Like Katie said, only certain entities were ever allowed to touch that table, ever to touch it, to mess with it. And it came from Louisiana. It made its way to Winchester and then now it's in Disney, because that's what Walt Disney wanted in that attraction.
I can confidently confirm now. I recently had a conversation with a former third shift cast member who was like in receiving back in like 2006. She was about to touch the table and her supervisor yelled at her, "Don't touch it, bad things happen." So I had it confirmed just recently.
Yep, bad things happen. And like there's something that is attached to me from that table from just being close to it. And I promise you that anybody who's ever been close to it as a cast member, something paranormal has happened or you've experienced it because of that table in that house. I swear on my life, on my children, anything else. So Josh, do you have any questions at this point? So we got a couple more ghost stories to get into before we get out of here.
No, anything? Man, so far so good. I mean,
so far so good.
The table thing's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's
my
table.
Favorite tale. It's one of my favorite tales.
Now, if given the opportunity, I would touch it.
You're insane.
100%.
You're insane.
I love that stuff. Oh, I love that stuff.
I would not, and just for the simple fact I've been by that table, that aura. Something about that whole.
Extra cold in there. It's extra cold at times.
Did you find that the ballroom when you got to go tour that felt almost the similar, is like cold and eerie to some extent?
It was heavier. I felt cold, but I felt the cold, but it was heavy. I think it was just something. There was definitely something about seeing that other room with the animatronics in there. It wasn't the ballroom exactly. It was the other room.
The other,
something
I know
about the other room.
I think I have a theory on that, and I don't know if you remember hearing this story. So you know the end table right there on the corner, as you go through the glass, where the spider web is now, that they put for somebody bringing in a BB gun into the mansion in the 70s and shooting their BB gun and making a spider web hole. Yeah. So here's the thing, guys. That ballroom scene, you have to take the whole roof off of the mansion, or you used to have to, like the whole, and drop those panes of glass in, because they were singular pieces of glass. But there was another person, another spreading, but they got off the attraction. right in that area and spread, and then they put the remains in the drawer of there.
Yeah.
And I think literally that's why that room feels as heavy as it does. Because,
well, yeah, I don't know if it's because the person's ashes were left in the drawer, because that's upstairs, it's above it. You have to like look at the room to understand what I'm talking about. It's just this.
I know what you're talking about. I do.
Okay, I'm going to sound completely off my rocker. It almost feels other dimensional like.
No, you don't. I feel that. And you don't sound crazy. Not at all. All right, so
that's as best as I can describe it.
No, I think that's a good place to leave the mansion. Is that ballroom? It's other dimensional, and Leota's table is otherworldly, not dimensional, worldly, because of the things that it has seen, it has felt, and is done. And to feel that aura,
it's done because the seance, the voodoo, it's it doesn't like being there.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't like being there.
It reminds me, the feeling I get from it, it reminds me of the suicide table in Virginia City, Nevada, where it was a pharaoh table in the 1800s in a silver mining town where silver miners would go and lose their money, and then they'd be found dead in their hotel room because they lost it all. Like, that table has some bad juju. And that's one thing I can describe about Leota's table. Now, there are some other legends within the park that I know I can confirm a couple. What other stories or things do you know, superstitious-wise or paranormal-wise, about the park that many people may not know, especially working on the rivers, because some crazy shit has happened on those rivers?
Well, I don't really know too much of... I think I didn't get a chance to really ask about it, but I know that Tom Sawyer's Island is definitely haunted by at least 2 kids. I wish I knew more about this one, but I do remember one other story about another part of the island that no guest can even get to that's haunted. And I think
what part is that?
It was on the back side. It was towards the house.
Mm-hmm.
It was towards the old house that used to be on fire.
So it's up by Fort Wilderness in a way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think if my memory serves me correctly, and I'm gonna put that out right now, I don't have a good memory anymore. Y'all, I am a mom.
Moms, parents.
Enough said.
But
yeah.
But if I remember correctly, because back in the day. Oh, there is another story I'll tell you too that I do know of, but this story first. There was back in the day, like I'd say maybe 60s or 70s, some guy jumped off the Twain and into the river, and it was in the deepest part, which I think is like 10 feet, but it's on a track. And I think, he's unfortunately succumbed to his injuries there. And I believe that that's what roams the island on that back side.
Well, let's talk about pirates real fast, and I'll tell my last couple stories, and we'll wrap this up and see if Josh has anything he wants to add or continue on with real fast. So let's talk pirates. We talked about this the other night, you and I, just on a phone call and talking about things. Pirates has this weird aura. And I have my own personal theories on the mansion and pirates having the auras that they do. But what is it about pirates that you feel is haunted or has some paranormal activity to it?
So where I feel it the most is it's right before the pirate that has the mirror effect.
Oh, the mirror effect. It's right before you go into the battle.
Right. And it starts at the it's at the where the skeletons are drinking on the
playing chess. Yeah, the shipwreck and all.
So from there to the mirror effect, there is just this it's like a sleepy energy. It's
Yeah.
really tired. It's it does and honestly it feels like it doesn't mind that it's there, but it's not happy that it's there either. It's just tired.
Sort of a
And
parent.
Right.
yeah, kinda. But what's really interesting, so out of in Pirates, this fun fact for anyone who does not know this, there are hundreds of skulls in Pirates, right? But only one is real.
Yep.
There's one real human skull.
They all
And it's
used to be real. They all used to be real, though.
yeah, but right now there's only one, and it's the skull on the headboard of the
Yep.
captain's bed.
Yep.
And that's exactly the area where it has that sleepy energy.
It starts. That's yeah.
Yeah. But it's for that whole extended area, which includes the treasure room.
The treasure room, yeah, that whole area.
And quick shout out. So I'm not saying that this is the energy that's there, of course, but were you there with when Joe passed?
Yes.
So somewhere inside the treasure room, there is a small memorial to him. There's a photo of him. This is just a little fun fact for anyone who wants to know. And it could not be there anymore for all I know. But there was at one point a little memorial to Pirate Joe in the treasure room.
Pirate Joe. Yeah.
So there could also maybe be a little bit of his positive energy mixed in there. So
yeah,
because if you knew him, you could even just be working the phantasmic guest control out front of Pirates, and he would be at greeter, and it would be the most wonderful interaction. He would have a blue name tag.
He would 100%.
If he didn't, because I don't remember if he didn't already.
Yeah, I do. Pirates. There's one other spot that I felt that was very off kilter, and it was coming off right there, going into the burning, the burning town section. And ours, it just felt weird because of, I think, some of the stuff, the relics they have in there, and some of the stuff. I know it might be reproduced, but whatever energy has been in that and throughout there, it's just really off. It's not so much like stories of like hauntings that we know, but there's just some weird aura and energy. Now, I will tell you this: there is a haunting that people are going to be like, "There's no way this is true," but you can confirm this, and everybody who has come in early to open the park can confirm this at some point. And if you talk to a lot of maintenance or custodial, they will confirm this story. Walt Disney.
Mm-hmm. He's everywhere. He's everywhere.
And this is how this. So I don't know. I know you. Go ahead.
It's oddly comforting.
It is, and it's
eerie.
The weirdest.
It's eerie comforting. I can't explain it. You have to experience it. You just
I will tell you this. So I came into the park. I had an opening shift. So opening shifts, you have to be there by 8. Park opens at 9. You got to be there at 8. You have to get there, open your attraction at 8. Get it running by 8:30 when turnover happens. And so I showed up at the K lot, and I hopped on the bus. I had my uniform on already because I took it home. And I figured, you know what? The one time they say you can walk through the park in your uniform is when it's closed. You don't have to use the backstage areas. Just take a stroll through the park. And I walked in through the side gate like we normally do, coming out through backstage. And I walked through like I was going to go through the Emporium gate. But something told me not to, and I looked up, and what was off? Something that's never off. The lamp. Walt's lamp in his apartment. I don't know if you guys have an homage to him in Walt Disney World with an apartment above the fire station, but his actual apartment sits above our fire station. There's a lamp on, always saying that that was how you knew Walt was in the park. Was in the park. But now, how he turns it off. Walt will turn it off.
Yeah.
Because because he knows it's a full-on homage to him. So I walked in, I looked up, and it was off, and I see a custodial guy go, why is the apartment light off? Why is the lamp out? He goes, it was literally just on. I was just in there. I made sure everything was on. The only time it ever gets turned off is when they replace like the actual like they have multiple different ones. They have to go restore them every once in a while and repaint them.
Yeah.
But they make sure that lamp is there. And so this was the original one that they had in there. Because we just changed the bulb not that long ago. We make sure the bulbs are changed every so often. And I didn't change it. It just got changed last month or whatever it was. And he goes, it shouldn't be off. He goes, but if it is off, the boss is in the park. I go, what? The boss is in the park? What do you mean the boss is in the park?
Yeah.
And that was my first interaction of knowing Walt was in the park. He goes, Walt, when the light goes off, Walt walks this park. And I will swear to the day I die that I walked from Main Street, cut down Adventureland, and I walked with him following me to some degree, watching me walk through that park. It was and you talk about the fog. No, I didn't. There was no fog that morning. I got into the park.
It would be summertime.
Yeah.
And here, summertime back in the day, it would be hot at 7:00.
Yep.
So I felt it on multiple occasions too, because when technically we're allowed to walk on stage even when guests are there if we're getting straight to our
attraction,
location. Especially it wasn't a far walk to get to New Orleans Square. So
no.
But yeah, those early mornings specifically, because Walt liked to walk the park in the mornings himself.
When it was closed. When the cement was wet, he loved to walk it.
Yeah. So I felt it. I felt it even when I was working my very first job there when I was the teenager, because we opened with the park too.
Yeah.
It was just cold but calm. It was happy.
It's and people will think that we're crazy for saying this, but no, and that's a confirmed story. People, this is not just us as former cast members of that capacity, but this is confirmed by other cast members that Walt roams that park because
it's generational experiences. Yeah.
So I think that's a good place to end with Walt's ghost and ending up saying that, I think he does that and he's okay at the paranormal stuff because he's there. That's what he would have wanted. He wanted people to be happy even in the afterlife, and his happiest place was, the happiest place on earth.
Yeah.
Josh, what do you have?
Yeah.
I mean, someone's got to look after Timmy.
Somebody's got to look after him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And even though he's sad, sometimes he's in the right place.
Uncle Walt's got him.
Happy, so.
Well, that was awesome.
I mean, sucks to get stuck, but what a place to get stuck.
What a place, right? Josh, do you have any thoughts? Anything that you want to add in? I know there's a lot that you just learned. I know you didn't have a whole lot to say this show because it's a lot of, a different episode. This is a Disneyland episode.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just now interested to see if I can find anything about Disney World.
I would love to hear more about it.
So would I, because I just thought that look up Disneyland stuff because of, of where we go, and there are multiple sites out there,
Yeah, you both work from Disneyland anyway, so it makes sense.
But I do want to know, Josh, what are your thoughts on some of the paranormal stuff that you just heard about? What are your thoughts on it?
Without going into like too crazy detail, I love the conversations about anything paranormal because nothing has ever happened to me. And right. I don't know how that stuff works, if you've got to be on some degree of being receptive or how that all, plays out. But, I've been in places that are 100% haunted. and I've been in old shutdown asylums here. The Myrtle Beach Air Force Base was shut down for a long time. It just sat vacant, and there were numerous reports of, like a homeless guy had died in one of the hangars, years ago. And, we went there as teenagers and would lock ourselves in the hangars, and sit in pitch black and silence. And I mean, I love that stuff, I love that eerie feeling that kind of stuff gives you. And now I really have some other stuff to kind of look forward to with my Disneyland trip, because I just want to be in the same area as those stories.
If you haven't already, you must deep dive onto the YouTube. There's videos. There's security footage. There's figures that walk the river at night.
It's crazy.
And I'm pretty sure sometimes it's Walt, but it's not always Walt. So
no,
look into it.
That's
it's
cool.
So fascinating.
Yeah.
There's stuff in Fantasyland, Tomorrowland,
all over.
I guarantee there's stuff now in DCA.
There is one in DCA actually. There's some in DCA, and there's one that we didn't even touch. The hotels. The hotel stories. There's one that we didn't even touch. One of the most famous Disney paranormal stories in Tomorrowland with the Circle Theater that happened in 1977, where the person got stuck behind the screens. Because you guys have it's like the Circle Theater there. They got stuck behind the screens and it crushed them.
Carousel Progress.
Yeah, they've haunted Tomorrowland forever.
And then of course Big Thunder's haunted.
Yeah, Big Thunder.
An incident in the early 2000s, that gentleman. So
there's so many good haunted stories there, and
many. It's a cornucopia of stories.
And if we could make a 4-hour episode of just all of the different spooky stories that we've heard of and that we know of, but the ones that are important to us are the ones that we have truly experienced, which are the mansion ones, the Main Street ones with Walt,
for sure.
And it's like, I tell you, when we all decide to go to Disneyland, me, you, our good friend Lou, Katie lives right there, so Katie will tag along one night with Mike, and we'll get out there, and you'll like, once you know it's there, and you're like, with people like, oh, did you feel that? You're like, wait, no, I didn't feel anything. You're full of shit. But then it'll be like, wait, I did feel something a little bit, because when I first was told about them, I was like, you're full of it, until I felt it, and I'm like,
you don't notice
God.
It if you're not.
Yeah.
If not looking for it, if you don't realize it's there, you're not going to notice it.
No,
and I'm not a skeptic that says people are full of it.
No, I know you're not.
Pay attention and you believe, because again, if you don't believe, you just haven't experienced it.
Yep, exactly. No, I think that's a wonderful place to stop. Josh, you want to do the honors and take us out?
Oh, I can. Well, Katie, thank you again for hanging out with us, sharing your spooky stories. James, I guess it was okay to have you here too.
I'm here all the time.
But
I'm a house plant.
I've got plenty of stories, so
she does.
Feel free to call me back whenever.
Don't forget, guys, by the time you see this, we are out of jail.
We are out of jail.
On Instagram. So
on Instagram.
We're haunting the halls of Instagram right now.
Yeah, we are.
In the shadows. So don't forget, like this video. Let us know your stories if you have any, because I would be really interested to see if you got any spooky stories from land or world, and you want to comment them down below. Yeah. We will dive into some of that.
I would love
part 2 of this. So
share
Katie,
comments.
Yeah, comments, like, follow, subscribe. Make sure you hit all the buttons that we tell you to. Printful, go to the merch site. Katie, again, thank you.
It was my
pleasure.
Have
a haunted mansion for
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll catch you on episode 13.
13, yeah. Lucky number 13. Hey!
13. All right, see you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Yeah. All right, squad, listen up. You already know who we are. We are the Operation Magic Podcast. Disney loving, dad-run, veteran-built. Every week, we're here bringing you that magic straight to the veins. And now we've got something even bigger. It's official, guys. The Operation Magic merch. Those t-shirts, those hoodies, the mugs, stickers, you name it. All Disney inspired, all made for the Operation Magic squad. This isn't just gear. This is the uniform. You throw this on, you're not just a fan. You're a part of the family. Every piece supports this show, keeps the mission alive, and helps us keep bringing laughs, the stories, and the magic every single week. So what are you waiting for? Hit operationmagic.printful.me right now. Grab your gear and show the world who you are rolling with. Operation Magic. Rep the magic. Rep the squad.